guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christian. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, good night, wherever you are, whenever you're seeing this, I hope you are good. So guys, today we're going to be talking about how to start living for you, how to stop living for everybody else, and all of the different things that come into that. We're going to be talking about perfectionism and other people's expectations and how we're taught how we should feel about ourselves and how we should feel others should feel about us and how that affects our self-esteem and all of that and then some. I definitely think this is going to be a season where we're going to be just asking ourselves, what do I want? What do I need? How have I been feeling about the situations I've been in and the decisions I've been making? And I think a lot of us will find that the decisions that we've been making that we haven't necessarily been proud of and the spaces that we've been in that, you know, in hindsight, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was even in that type of situation. Chances are we were in that space because we were trying to serve somebody else, whether make them happy, be a good friend to them, and neglect ourselves, show up for them, make sure that they were okay. You know, when you're on your journey for living your life for you, you know, not worried about who's pleased with it, not worried about who's affected by it. It's a very, very fine line to walk because on one hand, of course, you want to be a good friend to people. You want to make sure you know what people's needs are and you work to meet those needs as a person in their life. But on the other hand, you have to make sure that you're getting what you need no matter what and that you're happy and that you're satisfied. So let's get into it. If you guys want to book sessions with me, releasing sessions, learn tarot, the podcast, shop, all of that is down in the description. So check that out to connect with me, book with me, work with me, shop, all that good stuff. I guess let's just start off with the problem of living for other people and what you come across when you live for other people and why this should be your last season of doing that, or it should be last year or the year before then. You know, why you should have been gave that up. And also let the first part of this video just kind of serve as a drag, a little smack up the head to just remind you of the gravity of living for everybody else. So when you live for other people, you don't just live for your parents or for your children or for your spouse. You live for everyone around you. When you don't have your own voice, it's not just the people the closest to you that can manipulate you, make you feel small, make you feel insecure, talk over you, control what you want. It's everybody. You're going to do that on your job. You're going to do that with strangers. You're going to do that with new people you just meet. It's going to be your way of life. It's going to be your way of life. It will show up in your children and the responsibilities that you have to take as a parent, the decisions that you make for them. Are you going to be able to make hard decisions when it comes to them? Are you going to be able to stand up against what your partner wants and what the in-laws want and what the principal wants? You know, are you going to be able to have your voice shine when you're having a medical emergency and everybody thinks that you're joking? You know, are you going to be able to let your voice shine when you recognize that something is wrong and everybody thinks it's right? And if you don't speak up, it's going to affect so many different people, not just you. There are so many spaces in life where we have to go against the grain, go against what everybody else is doing, be different, and even be on our own, you know, be the one person that feels the way we feel and thinks the way that we think. But how revolutionary is that? How powerful is that you trust yourself so much, you trust your mind so much, your judgment so much. It doesn't matter who else believes in it, who else has faith in it. You are going to trust it because your voice is louder than anybody else's opinion or influence on your life. That's the space that we need to get into, because when you allow other people to make decisions for you, when you feel like you have to live to serve other people, no matter who it is, it will affect every relationship in your life. And your default will be people pleasing. Your default will be, well, let me just do what everybody else is doing. Let me just, you know, play it cool and just fade into the background and make sure that I'm just in the space that everybody else is in. I'm not making nothing, you know, different. I'm not causing any disturbances. Let me just keep it like that. And I think we very quickly realize I'm miserable here. I'm not happy here. Even though this person is satisfied, I'm not happy. I've been in so many friendships, romantic relationships, even, you know, working with people career-wise where I felt like I'm not getting anything from this. This two-way street is looking real one way. I'm not getting anything from this. But because I feel like the person on the other end really, really needs it, because I feel like they're in a space where they can't get it from anybody else, because I feel like I have it to give, I'll allow myself to be in those spaces. But I always end up miserable, anxious, frustrated, disappointed, and I have nobody to be mad at but myself. I have nobody to blame but myself because I allowed myself to be in that situation. And when you are a people pleaser and when you're living for everybody else, you're always going to look for everybody else to make you happy. Well, why didn't you do what I needed? Why didn't y'all come and help me out? I'm always taking care of everybody else. Why ain't nobody taking care of me? That's your problem. It's nobody's job to take care of you. Even your parents have to cut you loose eventually. So if you're in a space where you're seeking out everybody else to try to serve everybody else, you're also going to be looking for everybody else to take care of you as well. It's kind of like when we're nice to people just because we expect niceness in return. Subconsciously, that's what you're going to end up turning your brain into. It might start off as, I like people to be happy, so I'm going to make people happy. But what about when you are on E and you've just been pleasing people and living for everybody else, and now you're on E and you're 40 and your kids are grown and they're out of the house and they're living their own life, not worried about you, and your partner is in their own life, not worried about you. Everybody is doing what they want to do, moving and shaking and grooving, thinking that you're okay, thinking that you don't need help, you don't need support, you don't need friendship, because you're always saying you're fine, you're always taking care of everybody else. So now you've created an environment where people aren't even thinking about your needs. You're creating an environment where if people think about your needs, the immediate thought after is, oh, they fine. They don't need nothing. I know they're struggling, but they're okay. It's someone's default to not think about you. It's someone's knee-jerk reaction to put you on the back burner. And that's everybody. You know, everyone is going to be presented with their emotions and their feelings first. So when you come into a space and you tell people, don't worry about me, you take the effort that they were going to put into worrying about you, and they're just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to worry about this person, you know? And we can see it happen sometimes in our family dynamics. Like if you have an aunt or a cousin or even a child in the family where people say, oh, we ain't got to worry about them. Anybody else that needs a lot of attention, everybody will be hands on, all hands on deck trying to take care of them. But the person that's just like, oh, they're responsible, they can figure it out on themselves. No one ever asks them, what do you need? Are you doing okay? How is all of this affecting you? Because you've created an environment where the standard is, I'm fine no matter what. It's always about everybody else but me. Even when you ask me, I'm going to be like, no. So eventually people are going to stop asking. Eventually you're going to not even feel like you have a platform to ask. And the cycle is going to continue and continue. You're not going to get what you need. And because the only people in your life are the people you've been sacrificing yourself for, even though they haven't been asking for it, that's where your frustration is going to go because there's nobody else around. So it's just a natural reaction that that's where your frustration is going to go. And sometimes people do ask you to sacrifice yourself for them. It's not always you just doing it. Sometimes you're in situations where people will ask and beg for your energy, your time, your money, your love, your forgiveness. But what has caused you to feel like you have to keep saying yes? You know, what's caused you to feel like you have to keep allowing these things to happen over and over? Because you don't. You don't have to allow anything to happen. The most precious gift that we have in this world is that we can choose what we allow and what we don't allow, okay? So when you allow anybody to play with you, when you feel like anybody's happiness, joy, peace of mind, success, whatever, comfort is more important than yours, you put yourself at a disadvantage for every other relationship in your life because it becomes your default. We also, most of us have a reaction where we feel good to make other people feel good. You know, that's why we do things for people, so we can have that thank you, that gratitude, that exchange. It makes us feel good. So imagine being in a space where now you become addicted to taking care of people because that's the only happiness you have in your life. Imagine that. You become addicted. This is where the codependency falls into place. You become addicted to taking care of people because you need that dopamine. You need that serotonin of that gratitude. You need them saying, yes. You're the person we can always call. You're always there for me. You need that feedback. You're not even getting any other sustenance anywhere else in your life. That's all you're getting. So you have to continue to just, oh my God, this is real love. Oh my God, this is real. When in reality, that's the fakest kind of love and support there is. And I mentioned this in a past video. That is the fakest shit ever. People that only love you and show you gratitude and congratulate you and give you that praise and admiration when you're doing stuff for them, that's fake. That's fake. But for some of us, that's all we know. And it's a chance that your parents were like that their parents were like that you have other women in your circle that are like that, other men in your circle that are like that, other people around you that are like that operate on a system of what can I do for people? Or even worse, you'll have people around you that always are saying, what can someone else do for me? And chances are, if you're a people pleaser and you're living life to save everybody else or to please everybody else, you're going to connect with people that are looking for people that just want to please them. So you'll be like, wow, everybody needs me. Wow, I feel so needed and so appreciated and so valued. Of course people need you because they all have a need. It's kind of like if you're a doctor and you're in a room full of patients, of course everybody's going to need you. You're around a bunch of patients. How would you feel if you're around a bunch of doctors? We always talk about this. Healers need friends that are healers. Some of us have never been around people that didn't need us 24/7. Some of us have never been in a space where we felt okay saying no because we knew this person would be able to get it together on their own. So we have to recognize what's caused us to say yes over and over again, and also what's caused us to feel like we have to say yes, we have to show up. Why do you feel like that's the only thing that makes you a valuable person, friend, lover, partner, whatever? Why do you feel that's all you have to offer? Is your slavery, your servitude, your unconditional service of whatever somebody needs, no matter what? Why do you feel like that's all you have to offer? That's not love. That's damn sure not love, because love starts first with you. And if you love yourself enough to put everybody else before you, then what kind of love are you giving to people? Is it conditional? Is it only based on I'm going to give my everything to them so in return they can, maybe owe me a little happiness or be grateful for me or just see me in a different light? Some of us are nice people purely because of our ego. Purely because your ego tells you, keep doing for people. It doesn't matter how bad it hurts. Keep doing for people because we love the attention. Some of us are good people with the wrong intentions. We're good only because we want good to come back to us. We're just looking for a return, or we're good because we just want to feel like a good person. We just want to appear like a good friend. When in reality, it's the opposite of that. You're bad to you, so eventually you're going to be bad to people. Eventually you're going to be bad to people, So I think it's important to first, of course, this is all about us. You have to change you. You have to change how you think and how you view relationships. And you have to recognize what else you have to offer outside what you can do for people. And this is an activity I've been telling a couple of my clients to do recently. Book a session. You have to figure out what you offer outside of the things that you can give. Outside of your advice. Outside of money. Outside of letting somebody stay with you. Outside of giving somebody a ride. What do people get just from being around you? Are you funny? Are you kind? Are you sweet? Are you complimentary? Are you a problem solver? Are you solutions oriented? What can you give to people that doesn't cost you anything? Make sure you base your relationships off of that. Better yet, become the best person that you can be so people want to be around you because of your light, your joy, your happiness, how you feel about life in the world. You should never have relationships where people are only with you because of what you do for them. In all of your relationships, if people didn't have nothing to offer you, not a good time, not a good word, nothing, you should just be around them because of their energy. And if you don't have anybody like that around you in your life, then you have a bunch of fake ass relationships all based off of comfort and probably convenience. It's not based off just loving them as they are and seeing them as they are. And that's not necessarily to say you're a bad person if you feel this way, because a lot of us have been taught everybody got to give you something to, be in your life. A lot of people were taught not to deal with people or not to have people in their life unless they were offering you something in return. And that's because we were parented by people that were broken or people that were dealing with a lot of harm and a lot of pain. Whatever your parents experienced in friendship, they probably influenced you in the same way. If you have parents that are people pleasers, you're probably the same way. If you have parents that don't give a fuck what anybody say, you're probably the same way. So you really have to go back and ask yourself, how was I taught to interact with people and how was I taught to connect with people? Because there's a chance that there's a disconnect there. And you need to work your way back to unlearning what your parents, what your early friends taught you about being a friend. Also, we all look for that human satisfaction, that instant gratification of having someone being pleased with us. So I think it's important to make sure that we work to be pleased with ourselves first. I think even now in this world of likes and comments and engagement and going viral, we're even more obsessed with just having people like us. So I think it's very easy to step into a space and just want someone to like you. And it's not ever about them. It's about you. I remember in every relationship, I would morph myself into whoever this person wanted. No matter what it was. If you wanted me to be this, I would become this for you. And I would think, oh, I'm being such a good partner. Oh, I love this person so much. When I wasn't with them anymore, I didn't give a fuck about them. Please, anybody I've ever dated, whenever we broke up, girl, they could drop dead in front of me. And I wouldn't even blink. So it's like, after these relationships, I had to ask myself, did I really love them so much? Was I really madly in love with this person? Or was I just looking for someone to make me feel like a good partner? Was I just looking for someone to say, oh my God, you are what I've been looking for my entire life? Was it really about me getting the words of affirmation that I wanted, feeling like I was a perfect person? Like, that's what it really is about. It's not always about giving somebody what they need. Sometimes it's about getting what you need in return. If not all the time, typically it's about, let me give this person everything so they can really be loyal to me. Let me give so I feel like a good friend. Let me give so they tell me, oh my God, no one's ever loved me like you. So a lot of times it's about fulfilling a need in ourselves. And that's something to be mindful of as well. So let's just kind of move into how to stop doing this basically. So 1, you want to go back to how you're thinking. 2, you want to think about what you have to offer outside of the things that you can do and try to walk in that in your relationships. And 3, you really have to kind of challenge yourself in the moment to work through what you're experiencing. Typically in a space like this, when someone asks you something, you might automatically say yes, or you might be dealing with some anxiety or whatever. So you really have to ask yourself, why am I feeling this? What's coming up? And just challenge yourself to do better. I think it could also be easier to meet some new people. I definitely found that meeting new people has always been my best remedy to becoming a full new version of myself. I don't know what it is, but it's something about applying what you've been learning in a real life situation, in a real new relationship, that just makes me feel like, okay, now this is the type of person I am. Like, let's say, for example, I'm setting boundaries and I've told everybody in my life, these are my new boundaries. Until I meet somebody new and they cross my boundaries and I say, this is an uncomfortable space for me, this is my boundary, da-da-da-da-da, I might not really know if I can do it when the time comes, So challenge yourself when you meet someone new to not immediately start thinking about all of the ways that you can benefit their life. Start thinking about what you want in a friendship, because in reality, that's all it comes down to. What do you want in a friendship? What do I want in a friendship? Can we make sure that we can both fill each other's needs, or what you want in a partner, a coworker, whatever? What are you looking for and what am I looking for? Can we fulfill each other's needs, or do I have to change for you? Do I have to bend for you? Do I have to become someone that I'm not, or become an old version of myself for you? Also, figure out who you are outside of a giver. Figure out who you are outside of sacrificing yourself. This is kind of like the first question, figure out what you have to offer outside of what you do, but this is a little bit more about your self-image. What you have to offer and who you are two different things. Sometimes we feel like, who am I if I'm not giving? Who am I if I'm not sacrificing everything? Am I even a good partner if I'm not sacrificing everything, every person for this person? So we have to figure out how we love in a healthy way. And that might mean spending some time alone. It might mean being in hermit mode, being in isolation for a little bit, but you deserve the time and the space to spend with you. And also, when you're alone, you're not alone. You're really just having time with yourself. That's it. You have a relationship with the person that you're sitting with right now. You have a relationship and an obligation to yourself. So how bad do you have to feel about yourself to rather have a bunch of fake ass people in your life than be alone? Being alone doesn't have to be lonely. Being alone doesn't have to be sad. Meet you. Why are you sitting with yourself, never talking to yourself, never asking yourself how you're doing, never asking yourself what you want, never asking yourself how you're feeling? How do you expect to ever know you, ever? You have to build a healthy relationship with yourself. You have to build a healthy, loving, first priority type of relationship with yourself, where you really learn to prioritize you and all that you have to offer. And once you do that, you understand how menial it is to just become who everybody wants you to be. Like, anybody that has experienced me before now, I feel bad for you. I really do, because whoever you experienced was not even, I don't even want to say a fraction. Whoever you experienced was a little crumb of who I really am. You are only a crumb of who you are when you're sacrificing yourself, feeling insecure as fuck to please somebody. You aren't even a fraction of who you're really supposed to be. You are a little dust speck of who you really are. So think about the magic and the love and the wisdom and the joy and the fire that you are keeping people from, instead of really being yourself. Sometimes too, we could have been taught that we're not good enough. Who you are isn't good enough. So just make sure you're doing and doing and doing, because who you are will never be good enough. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. A lot of us do these things because we believe the lies that people have told us about ourselves. You believe that no one's ever going to want you unless you're doing this. No one's ever going to love you unless you're doing this. And because we've had bad relationship experiences, we just feel like, okay, well, I have to do this because this didn't work, so I'm going to do this. You can meet the person of your lifetime, the friend of your lifetime, the love of your lifetime in 30 or 40 years. You know, life is way, way longer than we think. It's very short, but it's also longer than we think. You don't have to settle for these pissy ass relationships that make you sacrifice yourself every single day to fill their menial needs that won't even fix them. You know, what good is someone that keeps coming back to get help, if they don't know how to, help themselves? That's why they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Or if you give somebody fish, you feed them for a day. If you teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. So what's the good if you keep, feeding people little by little, here, when you can just represent healthy living by the way you live your life? You can help so many more people and take care of so many more people if you represent healthy living by the way you live your life, instead of thinking that I have to take care of everybody and get everybody to a healthy lifestyle by feeding everybody's needs and doing what everybody wants me to do. That's never going to get you what you want. It's never going to give you the satisfaction that you want within yourself. And it's just going to be disappointment after disappointment. Seriously, it's going to be disappointment after disappointment. I've been hearing a lot of people in my life talk about decentering men, but we need to decenter everybody. I know a lot of women who are single, or a lot of people who are single, have to work on decentering the spouse of their dreams and not living every day waiting to meet their dream partner, not expecting every person to turn into their happily ever after, just approaching life feeling like they are enough and being open to possibly connecting with somebody else, but not feeling like they have to. We should feel like that about every connection. Like, decenter people from your life. You should not be living your life based off what people want. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of perfectionism as well. I think this also, of course, makes us hold ourselves to an unrealistic standard, and ego comes into play because you're doing this because you want to be a perfect person, a perfect friend, whatever. So you never want to say no. You always want to be available. When in reality, perfection, something being perfect, probably just means that it's flawed and that it's acceptable in its flaws. I think that's why nature is perfect, because we are enamored by nature, whether it's a typhoon, whether it's a mudslide, whether it's a fire, whether it's the northern lights, whether it's something beautiful or something devastating. We all have to sit back and marvel at nature. And I think that's what makes it perfect. I think that's what makes trees perfect. I think that's what makes mountains perfect and water perfect and all of these things that are ever flowing and ever changing. Nothing perfect is like a stoic thing that's the same forever. Even statues change and weather and evolve over time. Nothing is going to be the same today as it was whenever it first started. Nothing is going to be the same. Nothing is going to be the same. So perfection, looking one way or looking like you have to be one person or one thing, is never going to be the reality. I don't think we should ever strive for perfection, but I think it might be easier to just kind of change your definition of perfection. Perfection to me is just accepting myself as I am every fucking day, whether I'm being bad, whether I'm being good, whether I'm feeling bad, whether I'm taking it out on everybody else, whether I'm internalizing it, whether I'm projecting. I have to accept myself and love myself and never turn my back on myself. And as long as I do that, I have a perfect relationship with me. I have to love myself enough to know when it's time to let go. I have to love myself enough to know when I'm wrong. I have to love myself and accept myself enough to know when I need to change. And all of that is perfect. I think that's more perfect. If perfect is a great thing that doesn't need to change, I think that fits the definition of perfect more than, and I'm sure the definition of perfect is without flaws, but I think that if we change what perfect means to us, then that can fit perfect better than trying to be this flawless person and being miserable every day of your life. Because maybe people on the outside will think you're perfect, but how do you really feel? How do you really feel? Everybody thinks you're perfect, but how do you really feel? I do so much and post so much that I fucking hate, but people love it. So it's like we can't ever expect outside perception to define how we feel within ourselves. And we can't ever look for people on the outside to feel something within us that's deeply rooted on the inside, So we have to change how we feel about perfection and change how we feel about ourselves and feel perfect as we are. The issues, the problems is what makes something perfect. When I think about perfect, I don't think about a veneer smile that's porcelain white with a bunch of front row teeth across the top and the bottom. That's not perfect. When I think of perfect, I think of a little kid that just lost their first tooth and they're smiling as big as they can and it's gummy and the teeth missing and it just doesn't really look that appealing, but they're happy about it and they're satisfied about it and they're in a space of joy and bliss. Think about how you felt when you felt your most confident in elementary school, or when you won the talent show, or when you won the spelling bee, or a moment where you just felt at the top of your game. It necessarily wasn't a moment when you were your smartest or your strongest or your most achieved, but think of where you are now, where you could be your oldest. You are your oldest now. You are your most experienced. You might be your wisest right now. You might have the most credentials under your belt that you've ever had. And you're your most sad. You're your most unimpressed with life versus when you didn't have half of what you have now. So I think our perception about how we feel we need to be in a lot of people's lives is warped. And I think we feel we have to show up as a certain person, when in reality, you should just show up as yourself. And if who you are naturally isn't good enough, then it's a chance that that just isn't the person for you. And yes, that will mean that the majority of people in your life shouldn't be in your life. But if who you are naturally just is who you are, there's really nothing that you can do about that. Who I am naturally, I'm very critical of myself, of people, of everything. I have a lot of things that lead to me being neurodivergent, lead to me having issues where I need things to be in order. I need things to be right. So it's difficult for me to connect with people whose lives are in disarray. It's difficult for me to have people in my life where they're not holding themselves to any type of standard. And that doesn't mean that they're bad. I'm sure people think that I'm probably fucking miserable holding myself to a really, really strict standard all the time, 24/7. And definitely my standard has gotten a lot more flexible as the years have gone on. But in general, I'm still critical. I want to make sure I'm showing up for myself, even if me showing up means rest. I'm never abandoning myself. So my critical has changed in a more loving way, but I'm still critical, I've made it work for me, but I'm still critical. I can let my friends learn in their own way. I can let them fall down and not pick them up. I can let them figure it out on their own. I can listen to their badass stories, and not feel like it's my responsibility to save them, or not feel like if they don't fix this, I can't be their friend. So I've grown there, but also I still have my boundaries. And if your life is a mess and you enjoy the mess, then I don't want any part of that mess, so maybe once upon a time where I was like, one problem, I'm never going to talk to you again. I still have that boundary where I have to see someone doing better and wanting better, but I'm not holding someone to an unrealistic standard because I hold myself to an unrealistic standard. I'm not being extra hard on everyone else because I'm extra hard on myself. I love myself more and I feel more satisfied with myself. I accept myself more on a daily basis versus before, when it would be hard for me to look at myself sometimes, it would be hard for me to even say out loud certain things that I was feeling. So I think that, of course, how you feel about yourself is directly related to how you feel about other people. And I also think that if there are certain things that you possess, these things might be you. I'm a critical person. I'm just going to be critical, honey. I am critical. I don't know what, I'm just critical. But I can be critical in a way that allows me to live life freely and love freely and meet people and have different experiences. I don't have to be in a bubble where everything is the same. I can let my place get a little messy for a couple of days without feeling like I'm a failure because of it. You have to find that middle ground to where you can give freely and you can love and pour into people, but you don't feel like that's all you have to give, and you don't feel guilty for not doing that. I don't give all of my friends advice. Some people tell me stuff and I'm just like, and I just listen, because I know they're not in the space to learn or to really do the work. And I know it's also not my business. And I have other friends where if they say something, I'm like, nah, bitch, what the fuck you talking about? Because I know they would want me to say that. And I know they are probably somewhere in their mind saying the same thing to themselves, and they might need somebody to say it out loud for confirmation. I know the different ways I need to interact with people, and I know who would take advantage of me, and I don't allow myself to get really, really close to those people. And if you aren't in a space where you can identify that, if you're in a space where you feel like everybody is worthy of whatever, no matter what, you won't ever be in a space where you feel confident enough to say, hey, I'm taking myself away from you. And I think when you hold yourself to a certain standard, and when you're not being delusional, thinking that everybody deserves love, it allows you, or your love rather, because we all deserve love, but everyone doesn't deserve your love. I think it allows you to be more realistic with yourself. If you're a people pleaser, I guarantee you may reflect on who you are, but you don't do nothing to change it. You're not doing anything to change it. And if you are now, then it's because you're stepping out of being a people pleaser. But part of being a people pleaser means giving people what they want. So if you're in a habit of giving everybody what they want, you're going to give yourself a little bit of a cheat too. Meaning you're going to say yes, even though you know you should be practicing saying no. Meaning you're going to call that friend back, even though you know they just cursed you out, but you're going to call them back anyway because you know they need your help still. You know, like you'll be a little more flexible on your boundaries because you feel like, you know, it's not that serious. You know, like you don't feel like the boundaries you set are that serious. So the boundaries within yourself aren't that serious either, you know? So because I'm being more lax with people in my life, I'm letting people make mistakes and fall down and learn as they go. I have to do the same thing for myself. Like I said, letting my place get messy for a couple of days without feeling like I have to clean everything, without feeling like I'm a failure because I don't. You know, taking a day to be in bed and relax without feeling like this one day is going to cost me a week's worth of productivity. You know, I had to get more loving and open with myself to be more loving and open with others. So if you're a people pleaser, you might need to do the opposite. You know, you might need to add some structure into how you love yourself, into how you allow other people to love you, into how you allow yourself to love others. You might need to add some structure to that so you can demand more from the people in your life. You know, whatever you're looking to do within yourself, do it within your environment. You know, and whatever you're looking to change within your environment, change it within yourself. If you want to demand more healthy environments, then you become a healthy person. If you're still drinking every day, smoking every day, listening to bad stuff, consuming bad stuff, watching baddies all day, talking to your ex, how are you going to expect to go out into the world or go out into healthy environments and be comfortable, feel uplifted? You're still doing everything that's in opposition with what you want. Whereas if you say, you know what, I'm going to attract healthy environments, and you start to block people that don't serve you and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? You start to be kinder with yourself. You build a more healthy relationship with yourself. You figure out why you have these unhealthy addictions and these unhealthy attractions to certain things that do not serve you. You heal yourself, and then you will feel more fulfilled when you're in healthy spaces, when you're in spaces that are going to give you what you need, you know? So yeah, I feel like this is a season of putting yourself first like no other, honey. I feel like this is a season of really putting yourself first and recognizing how important it is to make sure you lead with the things that you want in this life. So yes, that is a little spiel, a little chit chat about how to start putting yourself first and how to stop living for everybody else. You know, I hope that this video answered a lot of your questions and just gave you guys the boost and the drag and the push to put yourself first and to be serious about how you want to grow in this life. I think that this is going to be a very transformational year for all of us. I'm going to keep saying it because I believe it and I know that it is true. So yes, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know how you feel about it down below in the comment section. But I will see you guys next time. Check down below in the description box the book Sessions with Me, classes, shop, get into it, check out the book club, everything. I appreciate you guys and I love y'all. And I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. Bless.